Hi, I'm Randy Alvarez, host of the Wellness Hour. Today is the Business Report, and I have a special guest. He is a dental consultant, legend. He's been working with dentists, become more profitable, more successful for more than 33 years. And he has a great reputation. Many people know him because of his custom dental lab, Smile Vision, and some of the services that are associated with that. And that's why we invited him on the show today. So, Larry, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Randy.
Now, for people that don't know your lab, that don't know Smile Vision, who's your typical client? And tell me a little bit about the company.
Over the years, Randy, we've worked really hard to develop a unique protocol for doing anterior dentistry, where we use cosmetic simulations to show people, patients and doctors, how the patient would look with a new smile, sometimes several options even. And from there, we're able to take those pictures and turn them into reality in the temporaries so the doctor and everybody can see it in an interim stage, and then the final case. Each step follows the other. The idea is you don't have to be the Michelangelo of dentistry to create beautiful cases, case after case. All you have to do are follow the steps.
Now, you're pretty busy. I guess you've done more than 100,000 of these simulations.
That's right. And 8,000 cases in our laboratory. And we've never had any encounters that have been negative from it.
I have a video clip. I'm going to show this video clip for people that have not seen this. Let's take a look at the video now. So this is what they see. How does the process work? Okay, so I'm a dentist. I take the photo, I send it to you.
That's right.
Ideally, what's the fastest turnaround time?
Well, you can have it back in an hour.
Okay.
Or next day guaranteed, or it tells on the prescription exactly when you'll have it back. And that's usually 3 working days. And of course, there's a price associated with each one of those. There's also a place where you can ask for redraws and changes. And you can view the pictures when they're ready in a slideshow format.
Now,
so that's all there on the website.
So when I'm looking at this video right here of these transformations, okay, the doctors do this, the patients say, I want that. I mean, is the whole idea it just helps the patient in their mind's eye see the end result?
That's exactly what it's for. And it's important that the doctor likes what he sees. It's important that the patient likes what they see. And let's not forget the patient's family and friends either, who are behind the scenes. Everybody needs to agree that what they see is what they want. If not, it's easy to submit the pictures again and have changes made until that individual is pleased with the look that they're going to receive. It's just like buying clothes, Randy, or trying on a suit. You don't like one suit, try another.
All right. Now, what I'm looking at the videos, with your dental lab, have you always offered this program with it? And if so, how long?
Since '87. For the first few years, we were one of the first labs to make laminate veneers. That was brand new in 1983 when we started. And for several years, we just worked in the dark without the pictures, trying to give people what they wanted without really knowing where to go or how to do it. And so it ended up in a lot of changes and remakes and redos that now we don't see, because now everybody's on the same page before we begin.
Okay, now the people, the lab technicians that work with you with your lab.
Yes.
How closely are they using these photos to design the smile, to design the teeth?
Sure. So the first step is to get the patient and everybody on the same page. Once everybody agrees that it's the way it should be, then the doctor sends us physical models or a scan of the teeth as they appear in the pictures. From there, the technicians very accurately duplicate that picture and produce it as a three-dimensional, full-size, we call it in the trade, wax up. Just like you do cars in clay, that's how this is done at the moment. It'll be electronic in the future, but right now it's still, that part has to be done manually. But the results are the results are strikingly similar to what's planned.
Now, with the Wellness Hour, and we've been doing this now 18 years, not as long as you have, but I get a chance to go inside some of the most successful practices here in the US and Canada. And whether it's Bill Dorfman, the famous cosmetic dentist, or David Hornbrook here in San Diego,
right?
There's no doubt about it. When I go inside these, $4, $10, $12 million practices, they're all using imaging. They're all showing these before and after photos. They're all doing a system just like this.
That's right.
And so to me, as a consultant also, to dentists, to plastic surgeons, same thing in the plastic surgery field. The most successful, highest paid plastic surgeons in America, Grant Stevens is one of them, uses before and after photos, computer imaging, to let the patient see the possible future.
Sure.
And it builds that, they say you have to own it in your mind before you own it physically. And this is just another one of those ways to do that. Now I'm going to let you do the talking, but what do you say, because I'm sure that you have objections, because to me, when we talked on the phone, I said, this is a no-brainer. Why isn't everybody doing this? Because the costs are low, things like that. But what if they say, look, my patients don't want to spend money on cosmetic procedures. You don't know my town. Do you hear that? And what's your response?
The response is, doctor, you're probably not presenting it in a powerful manner. Without showing an individual how they could look, how can they want it? So there are doubts in their mind. They're not sure what the doctor is talking about or what the new smile would mean to them. And so they say no. And the easiest way to say no is, I don't have the money. If they wanted it, like they wanted the sunroof and leather seats in their new car, a lot of them would have the money and would go forward. So I think that dentists who are not using this technology are really missing out on a huge number of cases. We have plenty of clients who've picked up plenty of business from this, and I've heard all kinds of stories. Generally speaking, using the simulations that we create as advertising for patients who really didn't think about wanting cosmetic work, they'll pick up generally 1 out of 5 cases that they try. And so that's not a lot of expense or trouble in order to get those kinds of lucrative cases. I've had clients who use this regularly who every month do several large cosmetic cases because they're showing people what they want.
I got to tell you that I used to have what you dentists call a narrow buccal corridor, right? And I thought I had the best smile in town, right?
Right.
And about 14 years ago, with this similar type of imaging, my dental friend, Don Brown, said, Randy, you have a narrow buccal corridor. And he and he showed me what my teeth would look like, in my case, with 3 no-prep veneers on each side, gave me a broad smile that you see today. And once I saw that, and then he put it side by side, he goes, look at the difference. It was like, wow. So I didn't even know I wanted that. And then, of course, after seeing it, I wanted it, right?
Sure,
I didn't even know
in
fact, I needed it after that.
Right. Couldn't live without it, right?
It's true. And I'm sure my story, and I'm not trying to endorse you here, but it's so powerful to give them that visual peek into the future. So it is. So in the smallest towns across the country, are people using this? Because they always think, look, we're in California. Everybody thinks, oh, everybody's into cosmetic dentistry in California, which isn't necessarily true. But what about small towns across the country where they don't do a lot of cosmetic dentistry?
They do a lot. The ones who are into this kind of thing. The difference is that some of the big stars that you mentioned in cosmetic dentistry, for example, do many cases every day. So they probably have trained someone to be able to do these simulations for them in-house. But we can do the same thing with the wonders of the web today. We have the trained artists who are just the same as if they were in your own office, and you don't have to spend months and months training them. We're training someone new now who's from the art school here in in Boston has a bachelor's in graphic arts and so on. It's still taken me 3 months to get her up to speed to really begin to produce these drawings. But we can do enough of them and make it cost effective that way.
One of the things you told me on the phone is oftentimes the dentist that you talk to on the phone in a small town will say that they're not really interested in appearance-related treatments. What do you say to that?
Well, naturally, some aren't, but many are. I think by and large, how a person looks is very important to them, even older people who are big candidates for this kind of treatment. And I think that it's the way people are. So not everybody's willing to act and make themselves look better, but for sure, if you don't show them something they want to see, then that's not good.
You know, there was a guy named Dick Barnes from Arrowhead Lab many years ago. I had a chance to meet him. And you'd go to his conference, he would sell 4 photos. And you would just show a patient, and it wasn't even them. You would just show if this looks like something you'd want someday, and we could fit it in your budget, I'm paraphrasing slightly, is that something you'd be interested in? And the patients would say yes. So I could imagine that with their own face in the shot, it's got to be that much more powerful.
Of course, if it's somebody else's face, they can't translate it.
What about those dentists that say, I have an insurance-based practice, and insurance doesn't pay enough to justify my selling cosmetics, and most of my patients have insurance? So what do you say to that doctor?
That's true. And it doesn't justify selling it to the patient. But if the doctor has a good relationship with the patient, can create a want and a desire to have the work, and then explain that they just can't do it under the insurance fees, that it won't pay for this kind of work, and therefore they can't do it, there are some patients who will either opt out of their insurance temporarily so the doctor can do the work, or I have a HIPAA Privacy Act form that the doctor can complete, that the patient can complete, that will ask the doctor not to disclose the treatment to the insurance company. And then it's totally legitimate that they do that work outside of the insurance. But the doctor has to have that rapport, confidence, and create the desire on the part of the patient. It's much more difficult.
You know, there are lots of dental labs out there. How is yours different or better as you see it?
Because, Randy, we follow the protocol that we've established scrupulously. We go from the pictures to the 3D replica to the temporaries very, very carefully for every single case. Then to the final case, we follow the plan that the temporaries have given us. And it's a step-by-step, carefully executed protocol, again called the template technique. We're not just starting from square one whenever a case is shipped to us. We have a plan, we follow that plan.
Okay,
no surprises.
So you're in the lab business. So if somebody buys this computer software that simulates a smile, they draw on the smile, and they show it to the patient, that's effective as well.
Yes.
But is the key component that's missing is having the lab that can deliver that result as you see it?
Well, I think a key component is having the trained artist to make the drawings. My artists take an hour to draw each one, and these are people who've been doing it for years now. That's what they do all day. Very hard to just train an assistant to do that. It can be, and if you have a big enough volume, you could. But generally speaking, it's not cost effective, Randy. It's a lot cheaper to send it out and have better control.
Okay, and the results. You think you get better results in most labs because of this process, this step, this much needed step?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, the standard, according to a meeting I was at recently, the average laboratory remakes about 5% of their cases. We're doing all large cases and front teeth cases, and we're averaging about 0.2% in remakes. We do very, very few. And so I'm sure that, and of course that translates into big savings for our clients.
Okay, what about those practices that tell you or your sales reps, look, my team, my staff, they're just not salesy. They don't want to push anybody. We don't want to push anybody into these cosmetic procedures. Does that ever come up?
Sure. Yes, of course. And of course, they have the wrong idea because a good salesman isn't pushing. A good salesman is looking for opportunities and for people who want what they have to sell. But also, that attitude isn't going to go very far for those dentists. I mean, here in Massachusetts, insurance has just cut the fees willy-nilly 30%. So if you want to be subject to that, then I guess you never have to, quote, sell. But if you want to be independent and you want to do these cases, you need to get your fee. And the only way to do that is to find the people who want it and show them how they could benefit from it.
So your Smile Vision, this protocol, it's being used across the U.S.?
Sure, the U.S., U.K., even India, far away, Japan. We have clients all over the world, actually.
So a patient goes in an office, they take a photo, within 60 minutes, they have an after by one of your artists, is that correct?
Correct.
That make this smile that can be duplicated, right?
Exactly.
All right. That means they could deliver what they're showing on that screen.
Exactly.
Do they get like a couple of different renditions or usually one?
Usually one.
Okay.
I would say 50% one, 50% more than one, depends what they ask for. You can ask for multiple options, show 3 teeth, 4 teeth, and 10 teeth, for example. Yes, so frequently multiple options.
And so the people that use you, they've been using you for many years. You have clients that have been using you for 20 years plus?
Yeah, oh, sure, many.
And, I'm going to go through your questions for just a moment. It says, they'll say that people in my town aren't into their appearance, right? I had a doctor one time. He told me in Arkansas, he goes, Randy, you don't know the people in Arkansas. He said, you're in California. He said, they're different here. And I had to be careful not to be sarcastic, but I said, do people in Arkansas want to eat and chew? He goes, yeah, they want to eat and chew. Okay. And do people in Arkansas care a little bit about how they look, right? Yeah. He said, yeah. Well, then they could probably benefit from what we're doing, right? Because look, my grandmother at 92 years old was always covering her mouth. She had really bad teeth. I didn't find out until she had passed away from my aunt that she was wearing a denture. So she didn't have bad teeth. She had a really bad denture, and I feel bad. I could have helped her with that. But you'll notice that 90-year-olds are very self-conscious. I think whether you live in Fresno or Tennessee or Arkansas, these are areas that I'm mentioning. These are small towns where I've got guys that are getting 2, 3, 4, 500 extra thousand a month in these cosmetic procedures, in these dental implant procedures. So there is a demand. People will pay for it if they see value, if they could see themselves better off with it. And I think that if, there's an expression, a telling is not selling. Sometimes you got to show people. And to me, as a consultant, and as you know, we've talked about this, I entered into the business as a sales trainer. I've been lecturing on the art of human influence for the last 30 years. And they call it social proof, that people are driven by what other people are doing. But sometimes when they can see themselves and this improvement, they can own it. And they're more likely to take action. It's called the power of suggestion. And the rules of influence have been around for thousands of years. They haven't changed much, no matter how you look at it. So I think this is just one of those ways to put your presentation on steroids. And to present without, look, a lot of doctors that are breaking into the cosmetic world, right? They don't have a lot of before and afters to show the patients. That means a like patient that had a narrow buccal corridor like I used to have, right? But this is a way that I think is even better. Because when I had my narrow buccal corridor and they showed me that, it was like I owned it in 2 seconds. And I think that, and there was no way I was going to spend money on my teeth that I already thought were perfect. But when I saw that, I was sold. And I'm sure that happens, and I'm sure you get a lot of feedback. What's the number one feedback you get from those doctors that use your program? What do they say?
Well, they're just amazed, Randy, at how many people really want what they have to offer. They've been Without this technology, these people they've passed them by. They've not treated those people. They've not had the case acceptance. Suddenly, they're able to get the case acceptance and they're amazed when it was there all the time. They paid for it by advertising and so on, but they just let the cases slip right out from under their fingers.
You know, it's funny that I had a conversation with one of my friends, cosmetic dentist. He said the typical dentist will tell a patient after she saw the hygienist, would you that their way of selling cosmetic dentistry is, would you consider veneers? Oh, no, thanks, I'm fine.
Right.
If you showed them a picture, how would you like to have this smile? Because it's possible. That's a different presentation.
Yeah,
right?
to say the least.
One's more effective than the other. You know, and as Peter Drucker from Harvard says, effectiveness can be learned. And that's what we teach on my online university, Alvarez U, is how to become more effective with your case presentation. And this is a big, and that's why I'm inviting you to be on the Alvarez U, because this is such a big part of case presentation. You almost can't do it without it. That's why Jenny Craig, look, you don't make $1.8 billion by winging it. You know, Jenny Craig consistently has been doing over $1 billion a year with her weight loss program. And it's not, she doesn't talk about the mechanism or how they lose the weight. What she does is she shows celebrities that lost 40 pounds and 35 pounds, and they can eat whatever they want. That's the power. You know, it's been under our nose this whole time that you've got to show some before and afters. And if you don't have it, get a service like what you're offering, that the lab is also the artist to make sure that the teeth are going to look like that. Because look, I've heard this when I'm talking to some of my dental friends. They'll say, yeah, but Randy, those drawings just aren't accurate. You know, and it sets the patient up for failure, sets the dentist up for failure from a complaining patient. But that's not the way it is with yours, because obviously it's not exaggerated.
No, God, no. We've done over 100,000 simulations and 8,000 lab cases over the years using this process, and it's all turned out well. We've never had a single problem with it. The problem is if you don't show people what they can do, then they're expecting X and you deliver Y, you're in trouble. So it's worked beautifully, Randy. Flawlessly,
I think the slang expression is prep and pray. You know, you pray it comes out right. And in this case, they actually get to see the final result.
That's right.
Okay, we're out of time. How should somebody get started if they want to learn more or get involved or start using your lab? Because it's about, look, when you look at everything that's out there, you're a high-end lab. They're all about the same price. But when you look at this element, this part of it that helps the patients buy into it, I think that's a huge competitive advantage. So what's your final message to a dentist that's made it this far, but for whatever reason, they're going, I don't know. I don't know if I need that. I don't know if my patients would buy into that.
Well, here's my offer. Go to my website, smilevision.com. And on the bottom of the page, there'll be a place to book an appointment with me to chat for a few minutes. We'll get to know each other, and I'll offer you 2 free simulations. Then try them yourself. Show them to your patients and see what they think. And I'll bet you'll be surprised in the positive way. You can also register on our website and just send your first picture. But I recommend give me a call. Let's chat for a few minutes and then give it a try.
All right. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Great stuff.
Thank you very much, Randy. It's been wonderful.
You've been watching the Randy Alvarez Business Report. I'm Randy Alvarez. We'll see you soon.